school students join in a project of self-esteem building with the help of local libraries and a world-renowned photographer. And Merrill Cassidy from the Response Hotline joins us to talk about suicide prevention in the media.
With this death in August, we saw a tremendous spike in the numbers of calls nationally and also locally. About triple our number of calls and about double the number of suicide-related calls.
And how do we increase awareness and promote prevention on the topic of dangerous, distracted driving? Hello, I'm Art Flesher from Suffolk County Health Department's Division of Community Mental Hygiene. I'm your host for Something of Substance, a monthly video magazine. Welcome back. Each month we show how substance abuse, mental illness, and developmental delays affect you, your kids, and your community. We'll also give you a few examples of how services in Suffolk County help people find the inner resources they need to tackle their problems.
Where's Mom? Did she forget me? I wonder what happened to her. What if I get left here?
Drugs and alcohol may make you forget your problems for a moment, but that's not all you forget.
My mother worked hard to be in recovery, and I love her for that.
Rob Goldman is an internationally published photographer who has created a project called I Matter. He has teamed up with local libraries and invited students to display a unique public declaration of their self-worth.
The I Matter project originated really to answer a call to be able to bring positive energy and positive light to kids all throughout Long Island, and actually now it's spreading quickly beyond Long Island.
Our young adult librarian, Joanne Albano, had heard about the project from the Northport Library, and we arranged a meeting with Rob Goldman, and Rob came to the library and spoke about the program, and we were inspired by it.
I think the I Matter project will benefit our community here in Comac because it will make the community see that the youth really do matter in the community, and that the library is a place that the youth can come not only to check out books and do research projects, but to come and do programs like this that empower them to better our community.
And we thought it would be a great cooperative project to work on and to do with the teenagers in this community.
Well, the I Matter project changed me by telling me that I do have a voice and that I do matter in the community.
The I Matter project is really what we call a public declaration of self-worth. So the idea really to be able to give kids a voice in the community, where my experience thus far has been that kids are really not given much of a voice in the community, and as a result there's just a bit of a loss of empowerment, actually a huge loss of empowerment for kids to be able to stand up and say, here I am, I have something to say, I have feelings, I have worth, take care of us.
I'm looking forward to being photographed because I think it's something really creative to do this, and you have a way to express your feelings.
Being here was really fun because my friend Adriana, she invited me, and I didn't really know what I was coming to do, and now it's just really fun.
I wanted my daughter to get involved because I think self-esteem is really important, especially at this young age. You know, learning about themselves and who they are and making all these decisions, that she matters.
I first heard of the I Matter project at the library and it looked interesting to me, so I decided to sign up for it.
It was very important for me to have my daughters involved in the I Matter program. At that time, I was trying to build their self-esteem and let them know that they did matter in life and that there was a lot of things that life had to offer. And each new thing that they could get involved in was going to be great for them to just build their self-esteem.
Seeing my picture in the window of the library
was great and it made me very proud.
The I Matter project was fun to be involved with, and I learned a lot about why other people matter and why I matter.
It feels really cool to have my photo in the library because everybody come up to me and say, I saw your photo in the library. It makes me feel famous.
What I really hope that the kids will take away from their experience of being involved in the workshop and in the photo shoot and inevitably in the project itself is that they will have a sense of something larger, that they're capable of being something larger and more significant than perhaps they thought that they were. And I feel that by being involved in something that's so much bigger than one person, that they're part of a collective and then they become really a voice in the community.
I got involved with the I Matter project because Hunter and I have been coming to the library for a very long time and they needed some kids to be photographed, so we figured why not give it a shot.
My self-esteem is better and I'm more confident myself because of the I Matter program.
What I see Hunter getting out of the I Matter project already is that he was this very shy, quiet kid that has now opened up and felt like he does matter and his opinions make a difference in this whole process. He feels that Rob is letting them choose how they're going to do these things, and he feels like, I'm in charge of this project, and it makes him feel really good.
Well, the I Matter project has been very fun because of the creativity, the giant life-size posters, the amazing shopping cart that was completely my idea.
I was introduced to the I Matter program from a friend of mine. She suggested that our kids go and look into the program and do the workshop. And when my son came home, he was very excited about the project, so I decided that I would also participate and help out with whatever was needed.
I think typically we're in a model of take care of your child, take care of your child. That's my role as a parent, and we live in this almost paranoid state of, oh, something's going to go wrong. So we're reaching out and always trying to figure out how can I support my child. I think that's what's happening through this project is that the tides are turning a little bit and parents are actually noticing that their kids have more power and more responsibility and more inside of them than they realized. And the nature of the conversation is starting to flip the other way, that kids are now going to their parents to help their parents maybe to learn better how to communicate with them. And I think it's time for that to happen. I think it's really time for parents to kind of step back and really learn what it means to listen to their child.
I think we've been in the I Matter program from the beginning to the end, and I believe that them seeing their pictures on the library walls just gave them such great self-esteem, and not only that, just having people come up to them and recognizing them and saying how beautiful the program was, and then them looking into themselves and finding new spaces within themselves. I think that's just been absolutely phenomenal.
There are kids who I have seen step up in such a huge way to be able to take on the role that actually few adults take on, and be able to go out in public, speak in public, get their points across so clearly and so poignantly and so powerfully that kids who are 15, 16, 17 years old are able to actually stand there and teach adults and to teach other kids and to teach communities what they need to learn. And the fact that this is coming through the voice of our kids, I feel pretty good about that.
I Matter! We'd like to thank all the participating teens, the local libraries that have played host, and last but not least, Rob Goldman for giving his creativity and time to this unique project. For more information about this project, you can call area code 631-424-1650 or email him at info@justlikemeproject.org. Up next, we have Merrill Cassidy from Response, who'll talk about the impact of recent celebrity suicides. We'll be right back.
Who else has been taking your prescriptions? Keep your medicine and your family safe and secure. Mind your meds. To learn how, visit the partnership at DrugFree.org.
In August of 2014, we were all shocked with the suicide of the famous actor Robin Williams. His death brought the subject of suicide into worldwide conversation. Today we're pleased to have Merrill Cassidy in the studio. Merrill serves a number of key roles in local suicide prevention. She's the Executive Director of Response of Suffolk County and the Chairperson of the Suicide Prevention Coalition of Long Island. Merrill, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Art.
So how are things going at Response at this time?
They're going well. We're very, very busy. For those viewers who don't know, Response is the county's 24/7 crisis hotline. And something else that the viewers might not be aware of, it takes about 75 to 80 volunteers to man our hotline 24/7. So right now we're finishing up training our most recent group, and at the same time we're getting ready for our next training.
Sadly, you know, the death of Robin Williams has prompted a tremendous amount of attention. Does it, in terms of the statistics you see with suicide, what are we seeing currently? Is there an increase or is it a decrease? Is this an unusual event?
You know, sadly, unlike a lot of major diseases, physical health diseases, there's been a decrease over the past 10 years. The suicide rate has been increasing slightly over the last several years, but has remained fairly constant. About 40,000 people in the United States died by suicide last year.
Yeah, I remember hearing a statistic. Some people break it down, one suicide every 13 minutes, and you put it in perspective and you look at it, it's so prevalent.
It is. And other statistics that we hear a lot, it's the 10th leading cause of death. It's the 3rd leading cause of death among young people 15 to 24 years old. It's the 2nd leading cause of death among college students. Those are some pretty horrific numbers, for sure.
Did Robin Williams' suicide increase the number of calls you received at Response?
Yeah, that was one of the most dramatic spikes we've seen. In 1994, after the death of Kurt Cobain, some people may remember him, the lead singer of Nirvana, there was a big spike. There are spikes when there are community tragedies, certainly 9/11, hurricanes like Katrina or Superstorm Sandy. But this death, in August, we saw a tremendous spike in the numbers of calls nationally and also locally. About triple our number of calls and about double the number of suicide-related calls. And it lasted a while. I mean, we're still, now it's a couple months later, a few months later, and we're still seeing very high volume of calls. So something about this death, this suicide death, really touched people in such a profound way.
Any thoughts on what that might be? What is it about this particular man's death that has really touched people so strongly?
I mean, that's a really good question. When I first heard about it, like so many, I was heartbroken because here was a man who had, you know, the breadth and scope of his work. I mean, he touched everybody. And then I start to do my own psychological autopsying after the fact, and I start to think about things like, what was going on with him? What were the risk factors? And maybe when we look at that, we can see why so many people were touched. He was dealing with a lot of things that a lot of people struggle with. He was an older white man. That's a high-risk group. He was struggling with substance abuse, alcoholism, and drug abuse. A lot of people know people are struggling with that. That's a risk factor. He was struggling with mental illness. And we know that's a huge risk factor. You know, so there were a lot of things going on with him that I think many people are struggling with and felt very, 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 you know, could relate to, but also felt very sad about. That here was a man who maybe was trying so hard and yet and touched so many of us, and that we all loved and still and was so adored,
Yes.
and yet still in that moment chose to do something so drastic. You know, and so I think people are always struggling with how to understand it after the fact.
And I think another factor in this case was Robin Williams was also suffering from Parkinson's disease. So you also had a physically debilitating illness that was progressive, and I think that keyed into a lot of people too. The more they heard about it, as you said, he's no different than any of us.
No.
And in that sense, the humanness that he communicated as an actor, plus the vulnerability that we felt based upon his mental illness, his substance abuse, his physical problems, all hit a nerve with us.
And yet, we grieve because we wished he hadn't made that choice, if it even was a choice, if he even was in a position where he was thinking rationally about it.
Right.
We so wish he wouldn't have done that. And we in the field of suicide prevention, you know, take it on as a personal responsibility, you know, to answer that call, to let people know that they don't have to struggle alone. And if there is any silver lining to it, it was that the media did a decent job, not just informing people of the tragedy, but letting people know about the phone number of the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. And locally, response is part of that network. So I think that was what caused the spike in calls. And so I read a statistic that over 30,000 people called in during that week after his death who were struggling and who got the help they needed. So more than anything, as much as we try to figure out the why, which we may never know,
Yes.
I want people out there to know that the mission of response is that people not struggle alone.
It's great. Meryl, I'm sure viewers, if they don't know already, please tell them the response phone number, please.
Oh, I'm happy to do that. So they can call Response Crisis Hotline 24/7. The number is 631-751-7500. They could also call the toll-free National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. That's 1-800-273-TALK. They can also go on our website Monday through Friday in the evenings and chat with an online crisis counselor on our Here to Help program. And that would be at responsehotline.org. You just go onto our website and you look for the links to Here to Help. So those are some of the ways people can reach us.
Thank you so much for joining us, and thanks for the wonderful work you do at Response.
Oh, my pleasure, Art. Thank you.
Thanks. For more information about suicide prevention or Response of Suffolk County, please give them a call at area code 631-751-7500. Up next, we revisit our segment on dangerous distracted driving. Stay tuned.
They'll be fine, I hope.
What if you could prevent a young person from getting hurt or killed?
What should I do?
If you could turn back the clock and stop an underage drinking party from ever happening. Now you can. Pick up the phone and call 1-866-UNDER-21. It's your community, your call, and it's completely anonymous.
Every year, numerous fatalities are reportedly caused by drivers dangerously operating vehicles while distracted. In many cases, these tragedies are avoidable if the driver practiced safer habits while driving. The Suffolk Coalition to Prevent Alcohol and Other Drug Dependencies sponsored an event at Suffolk Community College to discuss, reflect, and strategize on ways to increase awareness and prevent the practice of dangerous distracted driving habits.
Today's event is Dangerous Driving, Drunk, Drugged, Drowsy, and Distracted. The event came about several years ago when several of us who planned this event today attended a dangerous driving conference held by the Long Island Youth Safety Coalition in Nassau County, and it was held at Hofstra. And the story we heard then was so compelling. The workshops were so informative, and we felt that there are no boundaries between Suffolk and Nassau County, and felt that this was an important topic to bring to Suffolk County.
This event and others like it are tremendously important to get the message out and remind people, whether you are personally involved or know people involved or have an impact on laws, how critical it is to change behaviors and how traumatic it can be to families and people when wrong choices are made and when dangerous choices are made.
I had gotten involved with the Dangerous Driving Conference due to the fact that my father was killed by a distracted driver.
A group of prevention agencies and individuals felt that this is an extremely important topic for all of us, whether we're parents, students, community members in any capacity, law enforcement, legislators, elected officials. It's important for all of us.
I wanted to attend the Distracted Driving Conference because I am the SAD coordinator, and this is what SAD is very into. Texting and driving, you know, trying to prevent accidents besides drinking and driving.
The importance of safe driving on our roadways is paramount.
Today's event on distracted driving, I was requested to do a presentation on the distractions of driving, but more importantly, how to identify motorists that are under the influence of drugs other than alcohol.
The keynote speakers were very wonderful, very emotional. They really tugged at our heartstrings because both women had lost somebody that they loved. One was a father and the other one was the daughter of the other lady, and both under different circumstances.
On November 24th, 2009, it was 2 days before Thanksgiving. We actually had plans to go to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade 2 days later. We were driving to a music lesson in downtown Smithtown, very routine for us. We went there twice a week. We parked across the street from the store, and as Courtney was crossing the street, she was struck by an SUV that came out of nowhere. It hit her and kept driving, and she was thrown over 50 feet and landed under a parked car. She was taken to the hospital, but we did lose her that night. And later we learned that the driver was a 20-year-old girl who had sped recklessly through downtown Smithtown, driving over 60 miles an hour, twice the speed limit, high on heroin, on a suspended driver's license, and with a history of drug abuse.
My father was a highway maintenance worker for the New York State Department of Transportation, and on St. Patrick's Day of 2006, him and his crew were out there filling in potholes, and a cement truck driver had entered into the work zone. Not only was he speeding, he was just drinking a bottle of water, and the bottle of water had slipped from his hands, so he reached down to pick it up. But because he reached down to pick it up, not only did he take his eyes off the road, but he veered, pulled the steering wheel down with him, causing him to veer the truck into the work zone, where he hit and killed my father.
Listening to the keynote speakers in the morning, it was gut-wrenching to listen to the horrific stories that they had.
Very emotional. I cried along with both these women.
It's every day that she will not be part of our lives, and we have to find a new normal. We'll never have the normal that we had before. We'll never have the family that we thought we would have before. She's still with us, she's still in our hearts, but it's a different normal.
Now I go visit my father on the side of the highway. No one should ever have to visit their loved one on the side of the highway because of somebody they lost that was so preventable, so preventable.
Karen and Lavina's stories were most impacting on a personal level for me. Again, I have a 28-year-old and a 25-year-old who drive on the roadways. I also have a dad. And so it makes it real. Those relationships make it real, make these stories real.
We also like to say that these incidents are not accidents. They're preventable. We call them crashes. When I speak with Mothers Against Drunk Drivers, we try to stress this, that they're not accidents. An accident could happen to anybody on a daily basis. These people made the choice to drive drunk or do an illegal substance. Prescription pills, they are becoming an enormous problem, and many individuals are abusing them and electing to operate a vehicle unsafely.
According to statistics, our teens are dying. Ages 16 to 20, they have the highest fatality rate in the nation. 5,500 teens are killed each year, and 16 lives are lost each day due to teen driving crashes, and this is what has to stop.
I think if people remember what an awesome responsibility it is to be able to drive a car, and the responsibility they have to be a little bit more careful, drive a little bit more slower sometimes when it's wet or dark, or certainly if there are people around. Be a little bit more aware. I think if everybody individually does that, then collectively as a society, we will change the rate of deaths and injuries from these kinds of tragedies. But it's something that everybody has to do and think about. So spreading the message, I think, is one of the most important things to try to prevent this from happening to other families.
The information that I got from this conference, I definitely put out to all the SAD advisors in Suffolk County for them to be aware of it and to relay this message to their participants in the club.
We would like the attendees, it's been a pretty diverse group that has attended. We have law enforcement, we have parents, we have coalition leadership, we have prevention, we have treatment specialists here. So it's a very eclectic group. And what we would like everyone to leave with was certainly awareness, a greater awareness, increased knowledge so that one could perform their duties and their jobs with greater ability. And also, there was an affective component. We want to drive this home. We want people not only to read the statistics, see the statistics, hear them, but we want them to see what can happen on a very personal level to a family.
We'd like to thank all parties that organized and attended this important forum. For more information about programs, events, and upcoming trainings, contact the Prevention Resource Center at area code 631-608-5014. We'd like to thank our viewers for tuning in to Something of Substance. Our video magazine is a public resource, and we're eager to hear your feedback, as well as any suggestions you may have for future show topics. For all inquiries and concerns, please contact me at art.flesher@suffolkcountynY.gov. I'm your host, Art Flesher. Join us again next month for more of Something of Substance.